am so excited to have Miss Cathy Smith join us today on the Be the One podcast. Cathy, you are one of my favorite people, and so I'm so excited that we get to talk today
You're sweet.
Share all about your time here at Brookstone and teacher extraordinaire. So thank you for, on this Friday morning, taking your time out to come and join us.
Well, I am absolutely thrilled to be here. Brookstone has been very good to me, and I consider this sort of giving back, telling the stories that have been offered me here and have been so wonderful and have changed my life in so many ways.
Oh, well.
Don't make me cry
I know,
before
I was about
we
to say
start.
we're going to start crying at the beginning.
We do that at the end.
And I was going to say, talking about changing lives, I mean, I can't even, we couldn't even count the number of students you have impacted over the years. And
You're kind.
As the parent of some of those students,
you are kind.
I told Bennett, or maybe I even told you, I cannot imagine Brookstone without you. So this is just a treat, and you know, and to start off that you are retiring at the end of this year, and I can't even fathom it. So that makes today even more special.
Well, you are kind, and I'm honored to be here.
Well, all right. Well, let's get to it. I want you to tell how long you've been here at Brookstone, what brought you to Brookstone. Okay. We'll start there.
All right. I've had a 45-year teaching career. I'm not 102 years old. I started when I was 20. Mama put me up in kindergarten, so I got to start a little earlier than most people. So I started teaching at Richards when I was 20, and they were 14. Lynn Baldwin Robertson was in my first class.
No, she was
and
not.
wrote her term paper on skin. I'll never forget. I'll never forget it as long as I live.
And she's for those who don't know, she
here.
teaches our middle school science.
Oh
right
yes,
now. That is awesome.
You know, I had all the babies. Billy Blanchard, and now of course I'm teaching. I've taught his babies.
Yes.
But I did my 30 years at Richards, and 15 at Brookstone. But what brought me here is sort of an interesting story that not many people know, and it's a funny story in a way. Years and years ago, Brookstone would send, and they may still do it, send out letters to all the, you know, if you'd like to try out to be an honor scholar.
Yes.
Please, join us on Saturday. So many of my children did. I think Ryan Chitwood was one. But they all came in droves to Brookstone. And the essay was, describe the teacher who impacted your life the most. And anyway, they all came back to school on Monday and said it was a great test, and they all had their fingers crossed to be Brookstone honor scholars. And I got home that night, and I received a call from Charlie Comiskey, who said, "You don't know me, and I don't know you, but I would like to get to know you because 17 essays were written about you."
Oh, my goodness.
And this sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. I'm not. But I thought, oh, my stars. So he said, "I'd like to meet you and come on over and we'll have an interview." And I did, and it was... Brookstone took my breath away. And I said to him, I'm sick. I cannot take this job because I need to work 30 years. You know, I'm trying to be very, very purposeful. I need to do my 30 years in public school. So he said, "All right, that's okay. There'll be another time." So several years later, Scott Wilson called me. And said, I had heard through the grapevine your name, and could we meet? And I said, absolutely. And at that time, Avery, I had like 3 or 4 years to go. And Scott said, "I'm not going to ask you again. Are you coming? We want you." And I said, "Scott, I can't come. I have to do my 30. It almost got to be funny." So the principal I had been working under at Richards moved to Brookstone, and Bill Arrington called me and said, "This is your 30th year. We have one opening. It's in the 8th grade. Linda Wallman is retiring. Come on."
No.
And some divine intervention happened, and I think the third time was a charm.
Oh, my goodness.
So after 30 years in the public school system, I came to Brookstone and just really don't want to leave.
I know.
So my 15 years here have been just fabulous.
Oh,
just fabulous. You had asked me earlier, what grades have you taught?
Yes.
And when I got here, I taught 8th grade.
Okay.
And then I taught 6th. Loved it. English, reading, debate, speech, and drama. I had such fun doing the 8th grade speeches in the middle school.
Yes.
Sort of an icing on the cake.
Awesome.
But then I was asked, there was an opening in 5th grade. And that shook me up because I thought, whoa, this is way out of my comfort zone. I have never taught 5th grade.
Oh, my goodness.
But I thought, wow, I'm up for a challenge. And as my husband will tell you, Cathy does not like change. She doesn't like change. So I thought, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to shake it up and move to 5th grade. And I did. And for somebody with a specialist degree in secondary English education, grades 6 through 12, this was challenging for me.
I bet.
And it's the best thing I ever did.
Oh.
I love 5th grade.
Oh.
I bloomed with them in 5th grade.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
love teaching 5th grade.
I know. Well, they love you. They love you for sure.
It's so interesting. You see things through the eyes of a 5th grader that it's a game changer for the professional in the room. They are uninhibited. They say exactly what they think. It was just a refreshing change. Daily, I move from dancing in the square with them where we do the Dougie or we dab, the water sprinkler. I've learned so many dances. And then they move into my room and we discuss moral dilemmas in a novel. Or it's so wonderful to watch them connect the dots.
Yes.
I have to say this. We do something called mentor sentences, and it's unbelievable how just to watch this bloom when somebody goes, oh, that's a prepositional phrase. And if you take it out, the sentence is so dull and boring. It adds spice to life, and they could teach in the high school after these mentor sentences. But
I love it.
The depth of discussions we have in a 5th grade classroom is unbelievable. It really is.
I've seen that.
You've seen it.
have.
I mean, right now we're reading Tuck Everlasting, and I put a quote on the board. Don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of an unlived life. You don't have to live forever. You just have to live. If you knew, I think that started a discussion that lasted 45 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just been marvelous. I had a senior parking her car on the hill to pick up her 5th grade babies to babysit. It was Lori Jones. And she screamed. Lori Claire.
Yes.
She screamed from the top of the hill. She threw a hand up and she said, Boof. And I looked at her hard and she said, Tuck Everlasting changed my life.
Oh,
so,
so precious.
It's so wonderful to touch lives, whether it's 5th, 6th, 8th.
I know. And beyond, because one of my favorite things is seeing our high school students go back to visit you. And
I love it.
It happens all the time.
I cherish that.
I know. And it just is it's so authentic, and it shows the impact you had on them when they were 10 years old.
And that means so much. That's what every teacher wants to hear.
I know.
And Avery, I teach with such marvelous folks down there.
I know. Y'all got a great team.
Who touch lives. We've really we're a great team and have touched so many lives.
I know.
It's just
my own children.
So much fun.
I know.
And by the way, your own child is not Stu, he's Stu Diddy. So it's been so much fun. I give them all a name, and they remember it. So,
they do.
Anyway,
yes.
It's just been wonderful.
And your classroom is one of my favorite classrooms physically to be in, the way you have decorated it and the way the pictures of students, foreign and
Mia Rice told me it looks like a museum.
It does.
I'm so sorry. That can be, I don't know if that's good or bad. Mia goes, I love to come in here. It looks like a museum.
I know.
So
it is. It's just like an homage to just all the memories that were made in that classroom.
You are kind.
And so I love it.
You are kind.
I love it.
It is sort of museum-like, isn't it? I know.
Well, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine the intermediate school without you.
Well, you're kind.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there. But so we've already talked a little bit about the relationships that
right.
students are able to have with their faculty. It's just so unique and so beautiful. What have been some of your favorite things about working here? And I know that's one of them.
I can't even begin to tell you. I in preparing for this and just thinking about this podcast, I thought, where does one start? Because there are so many. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I thought about, a favorite, Brookstone has so many traditions.
Yes.
Yet we are progressive.
Right.
You can be progressive, and we are progressive.
Right.
And yet still cling to those traditions.
Exactly.
And we've done that.
Right.
The letter people, the seniors in the classroom, the 5th grade graduation, the senior mentor breakfast. And it just, goes on and on. But as far as myself, some very special memories. This is really cute, I think. And one of my sweetest memories, a father emailed me. And he said, I need to share this with you. I need to get this off my chest. And I said, okay. He said, our daughter wrote an essay to get into college about the one single person who had impacted her life the most. And she asked the dad, would you proofread this for me? And he said, well, of course. And he said, I'm just going to say it straight out. I was so excited to read about myself. He knew that, it would be he, and he was thrilled. And he said, as I opened it up, I teared up because it was about you and what you did for our daughter who struggled. And he sent the essay to me, and I thought, oh my goodness. So I have had memories from a parent side as well as a teacher side. Yeah. So that's one of my sweetest memories as a teacher. Right. My own daughter went here, and the memories I have with her, homecoming queen, she was speaker at graduation, and the education Allie received here, it's 5 stars. Right. She went to college, of course, at Parsons and NYU, and she said, I thank Brookstone. She was selected to be a part of the Stern Business School, which is the top 40 students at NYU.
Wow.
And she said, I credit
amazing.
Brookstone, Jim East, Brookstone, Sherry Tomlins, all the rock stars that pushed her along the way.
That's awesome.
So I say teachers certainly go that extra mile.
They
and
do.
New memories that are yet to be. This is funny. You have to think about what happens every day down there. This will soon be a memory. I was asked yesterday to be Dua Lipa. Let's see. Austin in the talent show, Austin Lane will be Elton John, and I will be Dua Lipa. I'm very worried about how I'm going to get this body to look like Dua Lipa. So that's going to be a memory very soon, a frightful one perhaps.
Wait to see that.
His mother said she's sending prayers. But sweet memories. My posse meets me at my car every morning, and they carry down my bags and my books.
Because they love you.
It's just so wonderful. It's just such a great place to be.
I know.
And I did post this on Instagram because it made my heart melt. End of the year, I collected all the reading notebooks, and I brought this little note today because I thought this is what every teacher dreams of and doesn't often get to share. In the back of a poetry notebook. I'm sorry, the back of a reading notebook. It said, "Dear Boof, when you read this, I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you always remember this class and promise me you will never forget us."
Oh.
And I thought, now, every teacher needs something like that. It's the little things that are the big things.
Right. They keep you going.
That
make you realize how worth it.
Absolutely. So Boofus has had some wonderful memories here.
Yes. Oh, indeed. Okay, now I have to ask that question. Where did the name Boofus come from?
Avery. When I was at Richards, we had this phenomenal art teacher. She did caricatures of people, she had fish on her ceiling that were teenagers, and they were smiling. Some of them had braces. She just was this outlandishly wonderful individual, so creative. But behind her, every time she shut her door, there was this woman on the door in a pink polka-dotted dress, just this horrible creature with this hair that was hairsprayed, out to here, and horn-rimmed glasses and big red lips. And I think, a lace collar and that moo-moo with the polka dots on it. And she was ripping these things off the wall. And I said, "You're not throwing her away." And she said, "Who? You mean Boofus?" And I said, "She has a name." I said, "She's utterly hideous looking, but you're throwing her away." And she said, "Yeah, you want her?" And I said, "Oh, yeah. I so want Boofus in my room." So I took her Boofus caricature of this woman, and it's sort of a bust drawing of this hideous creature with those big red lips and horn rims, and I put it in my room. And kids would say, "Who is that? What is that?" And I said, "That's Boofus." So soon it would be, I'm going to be in Boofus's room, and then before I knew it, they are calling me Boofus. I have had parents on this faculty go, "Is that a family name?" And my favorite is at the beginning of this year, a mama walked in and said, "We had tears because the child wanted to be in Boofus's homeroom." And she called the child and said, "I'm sorry you didn't get Mrs. Boofus, you got Cathy Smith." And I'm afraid nobody on this campus knows my name. And the mama said, "But you did get Mrs. Boofus." I know you did get, the child said, "I got Boofus, Mama. That is Boofus." So anyway, we've laughed about that.
I'm so glad to know that story because I have never known it. And I remember when Stuart was in your class, he went on a mission to find a T-shirt. There was some kind of T-shirt that said Boofus on it. And he did. "Oh, we're getting that T-shirt
You have no idea. The funniest thing of all is my faculty members, my peers, call me Boofinator, Boof, Boofalicious, Boof Dog. The best would be Trish Calhoun's class, who took a picture of Beyonce in her red dress, and they removed her head and put my head on it and called me Bouffancy. So that really made my day. Bouffancy.
Oh, my goodness. The possibilities are endless.
They're endless. I mean, they really are. And if it works, you do it.
Yes, you do.
So that has developed into, you are my Boofettes.
I know.
So I have a bulletin board that says 5th grade Boofettes.
Oh, my gosh.
And their pictures are all up there.
I love it. I love it. Well, now the world knows.
The world knows.
Because I think you're right. For a long time, people either have thought it was your last name or just didn't know. So now we all know the story.
There you go. And through the years, people have decorated. I think it was Lizzie Helton ripped off her blue and white day, her blue false eyelashes, and put them on Boof. some have put red sparkle on the lips. So Boofus is not getting older. She's getting better. She's just getting better.
Oh,
there you
I
go.
Love it.
She's better.
All right. Well, since you are in the intermediate school, and actually, I don't even think I gave you this question as a prep.
No,
but just
I'm kidding.
No, it's such a unique place to have 2 grades in an isolated building.
It is.
So speak to that a little bit about what is so special about the intermediate school.
First of all, we are, and I know this is said so often, but it is so true. We are family. We are better together. We are family. Everybody knows everybody else's name.
Yeah.
The love in that when we meet in that square in the morning, the energy, the love. I don't even teach 4th grade, and they'll run up and go, "Good morning, Boof.
Oh.
How are ya?" It's such a wonderful, magical place. They're tweens.
Yes.
They're not babies.
Yes.
They're not in middle school.
Right.
But it's safe. It's okay to dance and let your hair down in that square. It's okay to cry.
Right.
It's okay. It's just a warm, loving, wonderful, wonderful place. I know in some school districts they group 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th as a middle school.
Right.
But there's something so special about having the 5th graders be the big cougars, and the 4th graders looking up to them.
Right.
And I can't even begin to tell you, because you see it every day, the partnership between parents.
Yes.
The parents of those children,
right?
The teachers, and the child. Tremendous. You yourself, I mean, you've been a partner. We did personal narratives.
Yeah.
And I called all the parents and said, would you please write one? And you wrote one to send with Stu Diddy to school about losing your contact in the middle of the road. And so it's such a partnership down there. We have some mamas and daddies who often come in and dance in the background. The children now lead the morning meetings, no adults.
Oh, really?
So a mom or a dad may drop in to watch John do the morning meeting. And it's just a wonderful place to be.
Yes.
You feel the love.
Oh, you really do. But since some people might not know what the morning meeting is, when you're talking about dancing and things like that, explain a little bit.
We have a gigantic screen. You can see the nose hairs on the people on the screen. This huge screen, a wonderful sound system. And when children walk in the morning, they may hear Uptown Funk You Up, and everybody's dancing, and they dance, they groove. It depends on the child, whoever's the DJ that day. So the morning DJ puts something on, and the teachers dance. Miss Stewart dances.
Oh, I love it.
I don't have a video of her. She'll teach them dances. It's just wonderful. But they get on the stage, they dance. They have at least 15 minutes to dance, to hobnob, to socialize. Go sit on the floor in the back and talk. Right. The child leading the meeting will say, okay, waterfall, and you'll hear shh.
Oh, I love it.
And then we start the day with the pledge and then announcements. And, we hear it all. I have a new dog, or we played soccer last night and we won. Everybody is celebrated. Oh, that's awesome. And that's during morning meeting. And it's just so wonderful. And then they say, any teachers have an announcement or a comment? And, it's just fabulous. And it usually ends with Javon giving some words of wisdom for the day or something uplifting. But I think that Javon had the vision that should not be teacher driven. Right. So she has turned it over to the children. I love it. Who are often so underestimated in society as to what they can do. Yes. They are phenomenal. And so they have taken the meetings to new heights.
I'm sure.
I can look up and it'll say, oh, they now post what day it is, like National Pizza Day, National Lipstick Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
National, and we just have such a good time. And we always end the meeting with good, better, best.
Right. Oh.
Never let it rest.
Oh, I love it.
Until your good is better and your better is best.
Oh.
And that's a great way to start the day.
That is a fantastic way to start
so
the day.
You can rev them up and they can scream and dance.
Right.
And then they quietly,
yes.
Usually they quietly tiptoe to homeroom. So it's wonderful.
And then that's when the work begins.
As the T-shirt is, what is it? Brookstone students play hard, work hard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
it works.
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful.
Right. Because it's not just all for fun. There is purpose behind it, like you've been
Tremendous
saying.
purpose.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Tremendous purpose.
Yeah.
Ownership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they own that meeting. Mm-hmm. It's their meeting.
That is just
Yesterday,
awesome.
The student council got up and said we need to talk about the suggestion box and a few things that have come out of the suggestion box. So we had a report from the student council, all student driven.
That's just
the
fantastic.
Teachers just stand there and get to dance and do the water sprinkler or whatever, the Dougie. I've learned so much. They keep me young.
Oh, I know they do. I know
they keep me young.
Okay, well, going back down through our list.
Okay.
So, any favorite field trips you've ever taken? Any favorite guest speakers or visitors on campus?
I will never forget taking these children to, is it Fly Atlanta? Where you could...
iFly? Yes.
iFly.
Yes.
Holy smokes. When I looked up and saw David Cowser and 5 children flying in that tank, that was the most fun.
Oh, my goodness.
And children were helping each other, like, lift your leg up. Some of them couldn't get off the ground. Right. Lift your legs up. A little more to the right. It was wonderful.
It was so fun.
So much fun. And one of the most meaningful field trips I had ever been on, and the kids too, they were speechless, was the Martin Luther King exhibits in Atlanta.
Yes.
I mean, we walked through his home. My children did not breathe, and they were silent, soaking it all in.
That's awesome.
We went through the museum, we talked, we saw so many sights and sounds. We went in Ebenezer, church, and just had a quiet moment that I just don't think I'll ever forget as an adult, and I don't think they'll ever forget as children, to walk out to the pool where he is. And you just stand there, and it's silence, and the eternal flame is over there. That bus was quiet for a while on the way home. It was wonderful.
Wow.
So we have fun.
That's awesome.
And we have serious moments too. And that was one I will never forget.
Wow.
As a teacher, it made a mark on my life.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been there, so I need to.
I'd never been.
Yeah.
I had never been. And we took the walking tour, and it was so very special.
I definitely need to do that.
It's something you'll never forget.
Well, so tell me, speaking about never forgetting, what are you going to miss about being here?
Most of all, of course, the children, the relationships. As I said earlier, we are family.
Yes, we are.
Brookstone families have been, and children have been so kind to me, and it all goes back to that partnership.
Yes.
It does. I'm so close to so many Brookstone families, and I'll so miss the relationships, the day to day.
Right.
No matter where I am on this campus, it's such a warm, fuzzy feeling to know you're loved and you love them back, and they know you love them.
They do.
I'll miss those relationships, and I'll miss teaching.
Right.
I had my mid-year conference with Javon, and she said, "So, how's it going?" And we were talking, and we were just having such a great time. And I thought, "Oh, this is so painful." I said, "Javon, I'm on the fence." And she said, about what? And I said, I think I may retire. Mm-hmm. And she said, what? Yeah, you can hear Javon.
Oh, yes,
what?
I can.
I didn't see that coming. And I said, yes, I'm not ready to retire. Mm-hmm. I don't want to retire. Right. But I after 45 years, yes, my daughter said, if you don't retire, I'm going to drive down there and rip you out of that classroom because I want you to come see me. Right. I think you and Dad need to travel and see the Greek Isles. We have a joke in my classroom. I tell them I am going to see the Greek Isles, but I do have a problem. If I'm on a yacht, my bathing suit has a hole in the knee, and they're still trying to they'll look at me like, you're what? I said, that's my goal. Everybody needs goals. Yes. So anyway, the Greek Isles, perhaps I shall be there, but my bathing suit has a hole in the knee. They didn't get that humor. You did, but they didn't. I love it. But I'll miss teaching and the instruction, and because I love teaching. Right. I love watching eyes open and dots connected. Right.
And you're such a good teacher.
You're so kind.
Such a good teacher.
You're so kind.
And of course, it's one of my favorite subjects. English and writing.
Mine too.
And the work you do and what you're able to pull out of these kids.
Mine too. I love it. I literally, Joe Mills introduced something to me some time ago. He used a different word for it than I did, and it was quick writes. And you can pull some wonderful things out of these children through quick writes. The depth, the knowledge, what they're thinking. We study the metacognitive strategies in reading, and it shows in a quick write how they can synthesize and pull things together using their schema and visualizing, and it's just been unbelievable. Yeah, what has been accomplished in a fifth grade room.
Well, and that is just one thing I love about the intermediate school, about Brookstone in general, because it's, as we've been talking about, all the fun that we have here and all the sweet relationships, but also what you were teaching them. I mean, to come home and to be able to to have your 10-year-old describe to you what schema is, or talk about metacognition.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so profound. So it is amazing, the work.
And they'll tell you, as I read that book, I've got the movie playing in my head, or I've had them say, that is not in my schema. Right. I don't understand how that, and it's just unbelievable.
I love it.
It's funny, we read, I told you, Tuck Everlasting, and I gave them an anticipation guide with 5 statements on it. Before we read this book, respond to these 5 statements. Okay. And then I hid them.
Oh, interesting.
And then we finished the book, and I gave the anticipation guide back, and they were like, oh no, I've totally changed my belief here, and they could tell you why and cite the text evidence and explain, metacognition is thinking about thinking.
Right.
And they could espouse their thought process to me as to why that thought changed.
That's amazing.
It's amazing in a 5th grade classroom. Utterly amazing.
That's awesome. So as an English teacher, I have to know, what are some of your favorite books? Not only to teach, but to read personally. I want to give you time to speak to that.
Okay. All right. I was excited about this when I saw that on your list. And you may laugh a little bit, but if you ever Google Tuck Everlasting, it is an adult favorite as well as a. Really? I love that book so much that my husband got me a very rare copy of it for like our 5th anniversary. But when I was in school getting my specialist degree, and by the way, I encourage everybody to do that, because that is when you really get to delve into what you really love. Yes. And my specialist was in secondary English ed. So the literature that we covered was unbelievable. And what was so interesting is I had a professor, and I'll never forget her, Dr. Julie Knowles. Mm-hmm. She was going blind. Mm-hmm. So she memorized the Bible.
Wow.
If that tells you her level of, yes.
But
I was very fortunate to have her for like 5 or 6 classes. Mm-hmm. And one thing, I love F. Scott Fitzgerald. Yes. And I just think The Great Gatsby is just it's really, to me, a perfectly written novel. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of the tragic hero, the victim. I just love it. Right. And you are going to laugh, and just please feel free to think, Boofus, you have to be kidding me. But when I was in college, we had answering machines.
Oh, yeah.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had this on my answering machine.
Oh,
you ready?
Yes.
You'll laugh. It would say like, "Hi, it's Cathy. Leave me a message" at the end. But at the beginning, it said, "As I sat there brooding on the old, unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch our arms further, and one fine morning, so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly to the past. And have a great day." That was on my love F. Scott Fitzgerald. I guess that idea of you can't repeat the past.
Right.
I just love that.
Right.
Right. And then my other great one that I would just have to say was Julie Knowles made me fall in love with William Faulkner. Which that probably surprises you greatly, because who would say, I love William Faulkner? But I've read, for her classes, I read, of course, The Sound and the Fury and Light in August, A Rose for Emily. Right. I love William Faulkner, and I love something, I can't remember the occasion, but he said, I believe, this is a quote of his, I believe that man will not merely endure, he will prevail. And of course, the implication there is because he has a soul that separates us from the animals. Yes. And I love that. So I could go on, and I could sit here with you till 5 o'clock and talk about my books. But I guess The Great Gatsby and anything written by William Faulkner. I love his short stories.
I love it. That's just so fun. All right, so what about movies? Any favorite movies?
This is funny. I don't have a favorite.
You don't
First
have a
of all,
movie?
my daughter has laughed. She goes, "Oh, look, Mom and Dad are finally streaming. I've just gotten it." Teachers don't have time to go to the movie.
I know.
But we don't. I mean, I loved Dr. Zhivago because my mother did. But it's so funny. I've just started streaming Downton Abbey.
Oh.
And my daughter goes, "Well, Mom, you're 10 years late, but how you're doing it, you go for it. You go for it." But I truly I used to be a movie lover.
Yes.
And I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, isn't that funny?
No, I don't go to the movies anymore either. I just don't.
So Boofus is late, but she is streaming down.
Hey, that's a good one to start with,
there you
in
go.
my opinion.
That's where I've started, I love it.
I do too.
Love it. I'm in love with Mr. Bates.
No.
Don't tell my husband.
Oh, okay. Well, so finishing up some of these other fun facts. Okay, well, you've already talked about where you would like to travel.
But I've got fun facts that will shock you.
Yeah, well, please
I have
share
seen
them.
Lady Gaga 12 times. I have been in the mosh pit.
Oh, my
where
goodness.
you think, and you're pressed against,
Oh, my goodness.
I've been to 12, I think, Lady
Seriously,
Gaga.
12?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. And let's see, Allie came home for her eighth grade year birthday or Christmas, and said, "I want backstage tickets and a meet and greet with Lady Gaga at the Fox." And Dan looked at that, the price of that, and said, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy Easter. And we would not let her go alone.
Yes.
So Mama went with her.
Oh, my goodness.
Most wonderful experience of my entire life. Dinner with Lady Gaga.
No.
Yes, they had a buffet.
No.
This was before.
Oh, my goodness.
This was at the Fox. She doesn't even do meet and greets anymore.
I was about to say, how did you swing that?
So we got to have pictures made with her. It was like 25 people. And I think that's on our charge card, and it's probably still on there. We're still paying on that night. But you go through, and there's a buffet, and you sit with her. It was the most wonderful night at the Fox Theater.
So fun.
I've ever spent.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I think my favorite musician of all times has to be Elton John. I just grew up with Elton John, period. And this is, Avery, you're going to love this. I was pregnant with Allie, and my mom had not seen me in a while and said, let's meet in Atlanta halfway. I'll meet you at the Buckhead Diner. Let's have lunch, and we'll just meet there. And then I'll just go back home to Asheville, and you go home to Columbus. So one Saturday, I got dressed, and I'm driving, grooving to Elton John all the way, of course, to the Buckhead Diner. And we're having our lunch. And my mother said, Cathy, don't turn around. There's Elton John.
Stop it.
And I looked at my mother.
No.
And I said, Mama, I love you, but you wouldn't know Elton John if he came in out of the rain. And she said, Cathy, Elton John is eating in a booth, sort of a I know you've been in the Buckhead Diner, how they had the sort of the horseshoe shape.
Yes.
Well, I turned around, and it was Elton John.
No.
And my mother said, you have a choice in your life. You can get up and walk over there and get his autograph and talk to him, or you can regret that you didn't for the rest of your life, and we'll probably be asked to leave the Buckhead Diner. And I didn't even think about it.
Oh,
I got something out of my pocketbook, and I grabbed a pen, and I walked over to the table, and I didn't know whether to say, Mr. John, Mr. Elton. What do you call Elton John?
How would you address
How do you address Elton John?
He,
shockingly, he's a very small man.
Really?
Very small.
Really?
And he was with, I could tell, like Coca-Cola executive. You could see the pins, the lapel pins. And I just said, I just think I blurted out something like, I've been your biggest fan my whole life. Your music is poetry. I just went on and on and on. And he goes, hello, love. Have you got a pen and some paper? And he just,
no.
And he said, you're not. And he wrote, to Cathy, best of luck, Elton John. That is framed. Listen, that's my claim. That'll be on my tombstone. I
love it.
That was my finest moment.
That is the best story.
Amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
well, aren't you glad you seized that moment?
I seized the moment. I did.
And yay for your mama.
I know.
For recognizing
God
him.
bless my mama. Because I might not have done that.
Right.
Yes. She said, the choice is yours.
I know.
Now, you may be asked to leave the diner, but I thought, when will I have a chance to ever do this again?
No kidding. Oh, I'm so glad you did.
So that was fun.
That's a good lesson for our students.
Good lesson.
Right there.
Go for it.
Go for it. Exactly.
There you go.
Okay, so speaking of lessons, we'll close with this.
Okay.
What is some of the best advice you've ever gotten?
When you told me that, when you said, I want you to share one little tidbit of advice, again, I thought of my mother. She used to always say, smell the roses. Smell the roses. Along the journey, be sure you smell the roses. And when I was in college, she sent me something, and it's really too long to read, but anybody who would like to can Google it. It's called If I Had to Live My Life Over, and I know you have probably read this. It was written by Nadine Stair. Okay. She was 85 when she wrote it. Oh, wow. So she sent this to an 18-year-old girl at Mercer University, and it just typical lines from it that just really rest on your heart. If I had my life to live over, I would dare to make more mistakes next time. I would relax. I would limber up. I would be sillier than I have been on this trip. I would take fewer things seriously. I would take more chances, more trips, climb more mountains, swim more rivers, eat more ice cream and less salads. I would perhaps, I would perhaps have more actual troubles, but I would have fewer imaginary ones.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
You see, she said, I'm one of those people who has always lived my life sensibly and sanely, hour after hour. And so she goes on to just say, I've always been one of those people who never go anywhere without a thermometer, a hot water bottle, a raincoat, a parachute. If I had to live my life over, I would start barefoot earlier in the summer and stay later in the fall. If I had it all to do over again, I would travel lighter next time. I love that. I would go to more dances and ride more merry-go-rounds and pick more daisies. So I guess that all boils down to smell the roses.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Just smell the roses.
It makes me teary.
I know, teary.
That is beautiful.
I didn't mean to make you tear up.
It doesn't take much.
I can untear you. Do you need a laugh?
Yes.
I'll end it on a laugh. Javon leaned over and she goes, she said, I know you're on the fence, but when you do decide you just need to tell me because I've got to work on getting somebody in that room to replace you. So we met and she said, Boofus, what do you want? And I said, well, when you retire, they give bookends and stuff. I want a Rolex. And she laughed me out of that. She goes, you won't do. Get up. And we just howled. So it's been fun. Humor has carried me through so much in life. And it will. Yes. Humor will get anybody through life.
It's so good to laugh.
And Brookstone has brought me memories that I will have forever and ever, as well as so many wonderful relationships.
Yes. Well, like I said, without even crying, I just can't imagine you not here next year.
You're kind.
And, what big shoes to fill.
Thank you.
Just can't imagine.
I
cannot
It's
imagine.
Been wonderful.
But it has been wonderful.
I tell my husband I have fun, teach, love it, and get paid for it.
There you go.
Where can you find a job like that?
I know. It's so true. Well, as you've been mentioning people who have gone on to retire, some of the great names you have mentioned even this morning, yours is going to be added to them.
You're kind.
They're going to have generations of students come back and speak to you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Of the impact you have
had
on
Thank you.
them.
It's been wonderful. Well, Brookstone's been good to me.
Well, we love you, Boofus.
Thank you for this moment.
Promise you'll come back to visit.
I will.
Yes.
I will.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming this morning.
As my kids say, love you, mean it.
I know. I love you too. So thank you.